Hello, friends. Once again, a hearty welcome to all of you on Sahil Thappa. Today's episode is going to be special for those people who love to know about incidents related to ghosts and spirits, because today we are talking about such a ghostly incident. We are going to tell you about what is considered to be India's first Munjya ghost incident. Tales of Munjya is an urban legend of stories that makes the people tree its home and is often active only at night to find its prey. For this, it does not have to go anywhere. Rather, it has got some powers due to which its victim itself becomes its victim. Today's video will let us know about this unknown Indian urban legend Munjya. In Hindu religion, there are 4 main stages in a man's life: brahmacharya, i.e., student life, in which he gets education and takes initiation. The second stage is grihastha, i.e., household life, which we all see in our homes, where a man earns money, settles down at home, and takes care of his family. The third stage is vanprastha, or retirement. In this stage, a man takes care of his family in such a way that he has reached a stage from where his family can live their further life comfortably, with adequate resources even without him. The fourth stage is sannyas, or renunciation. In this stage, the man has to leave everything and go on the path of spirituality. In all these stages, in Hindu religion, there is a provision of performing upanayan or janaya sanskar at the beginning of the first stage of life. This janaya sanskar is called Munjya in Marathi language, and if a child dies before the first stage of his life starts, then it is believed that his soul does not find peace. Similarly, the wandering soul of the child is cursed. Now let us move on to the incident related to Munjya, which is considered to be the first incident of Munjya. This is from Maharashtra during the 1960s, when it was separated from Bombay state, and there was a village Nanduri in this state. Most of the population of this village was Brahmin, who followed Hindu rituals with full ceremonies. A child from this village was about to be born. His name was Raghav. Raghav was a very playful and curious child by nature, whose almost entire day was spent playing and roaming around with his friends. Still, the village children and Raghav never forgot what his family members told him, that under no circumstances should they go to the garden in the backyard of the village, because the big and dense peepal trees there are inhabited by very dangerous spirits. In fact, the people of the village believed that there were so many peepal trees in that garden that had grown on their own, and now strange sounds kept coming from those trees throughout the day. In the silence of the night, these sounds are even scarier and give rise to headache. Some people of the village also believed that this peepal garden was built by a sadhu, and then all the ghosts and spirits of the surrounding areas were tied to these peepal trees. This story related to Peepal's garden was known to every child of the village, but Raghav still once visited that garden. He wanted to see how much truth there was in the words of those who said so about that place. Just to fulfill this wish, he fixed the time for the night before his Janak Sanskar. He knew that on the night before the Munjya Sanskar, there would be a festive atmosphere in the house, and everyone would be busy throughout the night in bhajan, kirtan, and preparations for the next day. Then, what was left was just his Munjya Karan. The night before, Raghav moved towards that garden carefully and quickly. As he was coming closer to the garden, Raghav started hearing the sounds coming from there more clearly. Raghav was near the garden, but now the sounds coming from that garden had started to scare him so much that Raghav's courage started to wane. His fear started overpowering his curiosity. Just before entering the garden, Raghav decided to turn back towards the house and started walking back towards his house. But then he heard someone's voice from behind. When Raghav looked towards the voice, he found that it was his father's voice. That invisible voice was calling Raghav. There was something in this voice which was subduing Raghav, and Raghav once again started towards the peepal garden. The next morning, the family members did not find Raghav in the house. On one hand, the ritual of Munjya Sanskar was about to begin, while on the other hand, there was no trace of Raghav. The family members had now intensified their search for Raghav and started searching for him in the entire village. Then a commotion and a noise were heard from the houses near the peepal garden, and this noise soon turned into a lamentation because a dead body was hanging on a tree in the garden, and that body was Raghav's. After this incident, the commotion completely subsided. The village was in dire straits. Raghav's Munjya preparations had now come to a halt, and the entire village, along with Raghav's family, was in mourning. Within a few days of this tragic incident, people started hearing another voice from this garden, which sounded like Raghav's. The villagers named this voice Munjya, which means a child who has undergone Munjya sanskar. Although no unpleasant incident had happened for many days after Munjya came to the village, this peace was the calm before the storm. This sound coming from the people garden, which was exactly like Raghav's voice. Initially, the villagers did not find anything particularly harmful. After the incident with Raghav, everyone started feeling that Raghav's soul had awakened. Still, until now, everyone had heard a voice like his only around this people garden. No one had talked about seeing or encountering Raghav's ghost till now. But whatever was going to happen in the future, the people of this village had never imagined. Almost 8 months after this incident, another day was going to come in the village, because now it was the turn of the village head's son, Narendra's Munjya sanskar. Everyone in the village was making all the preparations for the puja. Narendra went to sleep early that night because he had to wake up early the next morning to take part in all the Kriya Kalpas. Narendra was sleeping on his bed when someone woke him up. Narendra opened his eyes and saw a child of the same age in front of him, who told him that he had come with Narendra's aunt and that he had just reached here. Due to the long journey, the child was tired and decided to sleep with Narendra on his cot, to which Narendra happily accepted. When Narendra's eyes opened once again at midnight, he found that he was not sleeping in his house, but in the people garden. Seeing this, Narendra's eyes widened in tears. Narendra saw him coming and immediately ran away from there on the opposite foot. Narendra was running with all his might, but after some time, Narendra realized that every time he went around, he reached near the same tree. No matter in which direction he ran, within a short time, he would reach back to the same tree from where he had started running. Now Narendra was very scared. He started shouting loudly, pleading the villagers to save him. Then he saw a boy on that tree who was slowly moving towards him. As soon as Narendra saw him, he became unconscious and fell there. The next morning, once again, there was a stir in the entire village. This time, Narendra's entire family and the villagers ran straight towards that people garden. Narendra's family felt that, like Raghav, they too had lost their son, but luckily, Narendra was still alive. He was lying unconscious under that tree. He was brought back home, where Narendra regained consciousness after some time, but he was so traumatized by the incident of the previous night that he could not say anything to anyone. Then he saw himself from a distance, along with a boy and all the belongings. Seeing him coming, Narendra remembered that this was the boy who had come to sleep with him last night. Seeing that boy, Narendra got very upset, but due to fear, he could not say anything to anyone for a few days. The rites were postponed, but the same night, Narendra, who was sleeping near his mother, was found missing from the house in the morning. When the family members once again searched for Narendra, he was again found sleeping under the same tree in the same garden. Once again, he was brought home, but this time, Narendra's condition had become worse than before. He had become completely mad. He was shouting loudly, as if his body was struggling with some unbearable pain. The same sadhu was called who had planted this peepal tree in that garden and had disturbed many souls. After the arrival of this sadhu, puja and other rituals were started, and after a long time, that sadhu told the villagers that first of all, Raghav was possessed by a ghost present in this garden, which took his life. But since on the day Raghav died, his Munjya sanskar was to be performed, which could not be done. Hence, Raghav's soul is unsatisfied and wants to be satisfied. After this, Raghav's symbolic Munjya rites were performed before Narendra, only after which the villagers started calling Raghav's ghost as Munjya. Narendra was now feeling all right, and now it was Narendra's turn to perform Munjya. This time, Narendra's Munjya sanskar was done, but now he had become very silent. He always used to stare at the walls, and the boy who came with his aunt used to roam around Narendra all the time. Due to this, Narendra got upset. He asked his mother who the boy who had come with Bua was. Narendra's mother was a little stunned to hear this. She told this to all the family members, and then Narendra once again repeated his question, asking who the boy who had come with Bua was. At the same time, he told everyone that this boy Munjya Sakar had come to sleep with him the night before. When he told this to everyone was surprised to hear this from Narendra, because the night before the Bua had come to sleep with him, she arrived the next morning. Hearing this, the aunt said that she wanted to come home at night itself, but she did not like traveling alone, so she came in the morning. Hearing this, Narendra replied that you are not alone. You have come with a child who always wanders here and there, but does not even talk to anyone except me. Everyone was shocked to hear this, because neither any child had come with the aunt, nor any member of the family had heard about any unknown child.